Glasgow, 3rd of December 1880. Acting on the instructions of William Hart Esquire, Procurator Fiscal, we, the undersigned, did on the 28th and 30th days of November past visit and carefully examined John McFadyen, presently confined in the prison of Glasgow on a charge of murder, with the view of testing and ascertaining the condition of his mind. He was represented to us as of 20 years, and as not unlikely to throw some light on the whole case, we first subjected him to a careful physical examination, of which the results were that, judging from the appearance of his teeth, the statement of his age is probably nearly correct. That, with the relation to the alleged age, he is, being scarcely 4 foot 9 inches in height, of very diminutive stature. That, viewed in the same relation, he is of deficient muscularity, being less than 7 stones, avoirdupois, in weight. That, in the growth of his hair on the face and of other parts in the body, and in the development of the reproductive organs, he gives evidence of late and imperfect maturation. That his head of fair size and ordinary proportions, offering no indication of disease or deficiency of the brain, and that his countenance presents no peculiarity other than a coarse and animal expression of the lower part of the face.
We next entered on a prolonged series of questions, in answer to which he narrated his personal history, both before and after the act for which he is at present in custody. He referred to 2 previous committals for theft, and then gave an account of the crime now charged against him, the circumstances in which it was committed, the motives which led to it, and the punishment which, in his opinion, would probably follow. On this history, we have to remark that it was characterized by a great want of continuity, and by inaccuracies and discrepancies which he could not and did not attempt to reconcile. For instance, he commenced with the statement that he is now 20 years of age, and accounted for these years by saying that he had passed 13 in Belfast, 5 in Glasgow with his parents, 5 in the House of Refuge, and 1 in town since his removal from that institution. He stated that one of his imprisonments lasted for 30 days or 2 months, the other for 60 days or 3 months, and could see no error in the statement of the proportion of these 2 periods. His narrative of crime appeared to us especially worthy of note. With the same coolness and the same absence of emotion, he recounted his trifling thefts and his commission of the act of murder. He appeared to have no sense of any difference in the magnitude of the offences. The same petty motive, the gain of a few pence, seemed to have led to both. Being asked if he had thought his deed a wrong, he replied that he had thought nothing about that. Being asked if he now thinks it a wrong, he replies that he does, and that he had been led to that opinion by the instructions offered to him since his confinement. He states his belief that his crime will be followed by capital punishment, but of this he talks with the utmost indifference, appearing in no degree depressed by its probability or awed by its terrors.
We next endeavoured to ascertain the nature and extent of his knowledge of a supreme being, of a scheme of salvation of a future state, and of its rewards and punishments. To certain queries on these subjects he answered with perfect correctness, but in these cases the answers were in the words of the ordinary calculations of the schools. To questions that passed beyond these limits he gave no answers, or answers were absurd. In all general and elementary knowledge we find this lad very defective. Of the powers of numbers he has about no apprehension. He cannot write. It can be scarcely said that he is able to read.
We believe that John McFadyen is in a state of mind which may be designated as unsound by defect. He appears to us to possess the ordinary faculties, not perverted, but feeble, sound so far as they go, but all of them to a certain extent, some of them excessively, defective. His perceptive faculties are moderately developed. his reasoning powers of attention, comparison, association, exceedingly deficient. Of moral sense there is almost no manifestation. His narrative of his crime produced in us the strong impression that he had no true understanding of its enormity, and that the motives which led to it were of the most frivolous character, while there was an almost total absence of the precautions, usual in such cases, against detention and punishment. He seems to have little natural affection, to love no one and to hate no one with any vivacity. In short, it appears to us that his mind may be compared to that of a child, that its powers have been most imperfectly developed and are incapable of anything like average development, that he has, to some extent, the power of discriminating between right and wrong, but that this power, not in his case counteracted by any strong or commanding passion, does not exercise in him the control which it usually possesses over the actions of mankind.
We have only to add that through the whole investigation we had before us, the consideration of a probable desire to feign or exaggerate imbecility. But his natural manner, the absence of all attempts to overdo the points of deficiency, and his evident wish to make the best of what knowledge or intelligence he could display, satisfied us that no such endeavour was made, and that no such desire exerted. All this we certify upon soul and conscience.